plan to get the mob off our backs might have, backfired a little. Your work at Shayu's warehouse made the Palatucci's look weak. In retaliation, they put out a hit on the entire gang. Probably should have seen that coming. They have no clue what most of us look like, but we've got enough on our plate dodging the cops. We need to squash this vendetta now. I'm not saying we back down. Quite the opposite. According to my sources, the Palatucci family owns a majority stake in an armored transport service, and they use it to move their cash around the city. To their credit, it's a perfect front. All that money goes through a depot where the vehicles are housed. If we target the depot, we can hit all the transports at once. We can bleed the Palatucci's dry in a single night. Let's send a message the mob will understand. A war with the Payday gang is out of their price range.
Hi, I'm Koo. I know, my Party Powder review video was late, like really late, and I highly doubt this one's gonna be any different. However, I am thankful for all the support I had received from that video, and I'm really happy you guys enjoyed the video more than I had making it. With that said, on September 10th, 2025, Payday 3 released Update 16, which, unlike the update prior to this, Update 15 gave us the Spearfish, 2 smash and grab heists, and a UI revamp. Update 16 gave us only the delivery charge heist, alongside a bag secure notification that absolutely fucked up my mod list. This, to many, is very disappointing, as this update literally only boils down to one DLC heist, which, yes, this means that the second heist of the year is also a DLC. Unless you count the smash and grab heists as new heists, and if you also count First World Bank as a year 2 heist, which I didn't. But with that said, since the update is only about the DLC, there must be some sort of merit to it to justify it being the only thing added to the game, right? Well, let's get on to that. The lore entails, after Party Powder, the gang's thwarting of the Palatucci's plan had earned themselves a place on their hit list. The Payday gang, who had already had an assassination attempt on them, decided to act fast to shut that idea down. They decided to hit one of their main sources of revenue, a Gensec armored transport warehouse, which the Palatucci owned shares in. Hitting this warehouse will short the mob's funds and will send a message to the Palatucci to not fuck with the Payday gang, which will cause them to back off. Wait, that's it? We're ending off the year 2 storyline in 2 heists? I was genuinely invested in the Mafia storyline. I was really expecting to actually fight the Palatuccis themselves, but apparently we're killing them off exactly like how we killed Concord. Giving them a fucking heart attack from lots of money. This is probably the most disappointing parts of year 2 for me, as I am someone who gets really invested in interesting story beats. This is what made Entry Point such a comfort game to me. We're not talking about Roblox in this video, by the way. I'm still mad at them about the AI age verification.
How do you think of the problem of predators on Roblox?
We think of it not necessarily just as a problem, but an opportunity as well.
This is the fucker we trust our kids with, by the way. What the fuck is with these Payday reviews and foreshadowing worse news? I wrote this joke in December. I'm going to fucking shoot somebody. Anyway, back to the point. What I'm saying is that killing up the Palatucci like this feels like a huge waste of a story beat. I really wanted the story to go in the direction of the Payday gang taking another step further by hunting down the Palatucci as payback, killing them off, which would send a message to the entirety of New York, teaching them who the real boss is, opening up more contracts for the gang, more enemies, and a much more in-depth plot than whatever the fuck we have here. Anyway, I digress. Hi, Koo from editing here. I'm happy to announce the delivery charge wasn't the end of the Palatucci storyline. As of January 2026, Shopping Spree had been released, and with that, we get the actual ending to the Palatucci storyline, which in my opinion does a better job at it than Delivery Charge did. However, I'm not talking about shopping spree in this video, as I wrote this before the heist was even announced. Anyway, back to you, Narration Ku. Thank you, Editing Ku from the future. This heist is another warehouse, which the community was not too happy about. Me, however, I'm pretty indifferent to it. I don't love nor hate the idea that it's just another warehouse heist. However, I must say that this heist does wear the Shadow Raid inspiration on its sleeves way better compared to Party Powder. This one has Shadow Raid DNA all over it. Look, there's even cum on the wall. Apart from that, layout-wise, it also resembles Prototype Loud in a way, having a vault area connecting to a stairway that goes up into an office area that then connects to another stairway that loops back to the other side of the vault. Oh, right. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Your main objective for this heist is to infiltrate the Gensec warehouse and steal a sum of cash that they're transporting into the vault. However, not all the cash would be in the vault. Instead, they could still either be in the counting cages or in the armored transports. Unless you have a certain asset, but we'll put a pin in that and come back to it later. Unlike Party Powder, this heist RNG has been the best the game's ever seen, with not only unique van spawn locations, but also random loot secure locations, random transport spawns, random crate spawns, key item spawns, guard room spawns, map altering changes. Holy shit, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's start with one and work our way up from there. As I've said, the heist RNG is the best I've ever seen in the game, Payday 3 wise anyway. From smaller things like how much cash is inside each counting cage, to how many are rigged with die packs, returning for no rest for the wicked, to where the security rooms are or where the keycards are placed, to bigger things like heist variations, blocking off certain entrances or vents, spawning certain armored transports that may or may not have loot inside, or rarest of all, did you guys see that? What the fuck was that? An armored transport pulling up and jam-packed with loot, similar to the unscheduled convoy in Shadow Raid. Yes, I know, the Shadow Raid comparisons. Yeah. Since we're on the topic of armored transports, I would like to address the main point of an armored transport depot. Since we're hitting an armored transport warehouse where Gensec deposits their totally not mafia-affiliated cash, there's bound to be some armored transports that are empty since the money from them had already been transferred into the counting cages. So how are you supposed to know which one has the cash? Well, that's probably the same question Gensec asked because they have a solution. On the second floor of the warehouse, you can find an overlooking security office with 2 guards inside. If you're on overkill, that is. On any other difficulty, it will only spawn 1 guard. This room can only be accessed with a red keycard, and inside that room you can find one of 2 things. The vault code, either projected from a projector onto a screen or inside of a safe that they hid behind a painting, but we'll get back to that later. What we're really looking for is this whiteboard. This whiteboard shows the entire layout of the warehouse, and on the layout it shows which one of the trucks still has money inside. Your final step is to find those fuckers, open them up with a QR code or hacking tool during loud, and chuck those bags out. Also, if you get an armored truck spawn in the garage, you can actually break them using 4 methods. QR codes and hacking tools for stealth and loud respectively, as mentioned earlier, drilling the bottom part like in Road Rage and pulling out the wire, fucking up the locking mechanisms, or an underrated method which works in both stealth and loud, yanking that shit. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about something that I know that some of you have been itching for me to talk about since I started this video. The counting cage. On the first floor of the warehouse, there will be counting cages the guards use to, well, count money before they move them into the vault. So no doubt that some of the cash would still be in there. To get in, you'll need a red keycard, which can be found somewhere around the map. However, once you're in, Gensec reminds you that they may be stupid, but they're ready. As soon as that door opens, the die packs will start activating. Fortunately for us, their stupid part is really shining through, as the die packs are set to be slower than what they usually are, being way more forgiving than No Rest for the Wicked. Once you've cleaned out the counting cages, you'll notice 4 safes in each room, all containing extra loose cash, which was a disappointment for me. I really expected there to be QR codes I can use or something. Anyway, with that out of the way, we can finally talk about the last place you can get loot from. The crates. Yeah, I know, I spent a significant portion of the Party Powder video talking about the wooden crates and changing playthrough, so I'll keep this one brief. The heist will have crates scattered around the map. Some of these crates contain a painting that can be bagged and secured, totaling 3 bags. There are 3 areas that these crates can be found: in the warehouse loading and unloading room, upstairs in the storage area or outside inside of a container crate. And of course, say it with me, they're all RNG based. Thank you. Meaning these crates' contents change every session, some being empty and some actually containing the paintings. Bag them up and secure them. It's pretty baseline standard stuff for Payday at this point. Okay, now let's talk about the... Before I start this section, let me give a little context for the small inside joke that has been brewing since the heist first came out. A few days before Delivery Charge came out, Starbreeze released the original Delivery Charge trailer, and saying it was the sloppiest trailer Payday has ever done would be an understatement. The trailer was so sloppily done, it puts Pyrocynical to shame. It reuses footage, uses the wrong parts of clips, the fucking works. The community then caught on that the clip they reused the most was the same one of Pearl running into the vault over and over again, spawning the inside joke that Pearl has dementia, or that she's stuck in a time loop. Hell, even crime boss Rocky City made fun of them over on their Twitter posts. With that, let's begin. The vault can be located at the back of the warehouse, requiring a red keycard to activate the keypad, and it's at a fixed location. What's not fixed, however, is the code for the keypad. On every playthrough, the code will always be upstairs. However, the position of the code will be random. The first variant of the vault code is inside of a safe, hidden behind a painting that you can move. This for me is an instant restart if I encounter this in stealth, as there's a very high chance of me getting caught while trying to crack the safe. The second variant is that the code will be displayed on the projector screen. However, it is mixed in with 7 other fake codes. To bypass this, you'll have to, of course, check the fingerprints on the vault keypad itself. Pretty baseline standard stuff when it comes to Payday 3 codes. Swipe the card, crack the code, and open the vault to find a shit ton of money. However, please note that after you've opened the vault during stealth, the lead guard will now have a new patrol point, which is conveniently right in front of the vault. Staring inside, you can avoid being caught if you stand behind the walls surrounding the vault doors and throw your loot behind a table in the center of the room. Okay, I spent a portion of the Party Powder video glazing Gustavo to the bunch YouTube's shitty AI put as a point in the summary, but let me tell you, Gustavo abso-fucking-lutely cooked with this OST. Remember what I said about Gatecrasher? How it had the pressure point effect? Well, Grit and Steel absolutely blew me away when I first heard it. And guess what? It became one of my Ignordos most listened to songs of 2025. Hey, cut that out. Cut that. Where Gatecrasher sounds like Track 01, Grit and Steel sounds like Prototype Loud, or as I like to call it, Under Construction, which is literally my favorite unreleased Payday 3 song. Also, I call it that mainly because Slade named it that, and it's been stuck with me since. Yeah, I blame you for this, Slade. As of writing this, however, and as of recording this months later too, Grit and Steel stealth is bugged as it won't transition between other stealth phases and thus only being stuck on stealth 1, which is a bummer since stealth 5 is probably my favorite part of the song apart from assault. Alright, now that we've gotten everything in order, let's talk a little more about stealth. Since I've already said a lot about the gameplay during the gameplay overview, I'll keep this brief. Upon loading into the heist, the game will spawn you in 3 random locations, all outside the main warehouse. You'll have to find a way to get into the warehouse. As Bane would have said, the front gate is dead ahead, but there are other ways in. Whether it be cutting the fence to get to the back of the warehouse, ziplining inside, or jumping inside, once you're in, your first priority is to get inside the main warehouse, as that's where the loot will mainly be. As discussed earlier, there are many ways into the warehouse. The side window leading to the stairs, the pre-broken window, through the back basement door that requires a blue keycard, various vents that lead inside the warehouse, or various RFID doors leading into the warehouse. The RFID tag can be found in the security booth safe, 2 outside and 1 in the garage. The heist after the fact will be as mentioned in the last section. Find QR codes to open transports, find keycards and codes for the vault and counting cages, etc. The camera guard now has 2 randomized security rooms that he can be in instead of suffocating inside of a container crate again. Which is either in the basement or in the storage area. The area he isn't in will be replaced with an armory with a guaranteed red keycard spawn. Last thing to do is to move the loot to the van or the marked sewer grates that can be used to drop loot in. Oh, yeah, right. Returning from Boys in Blue and a direct inspiration from Shadow Raid's Stumper Secure location, Delivery Charge has sewer grates you can open and throw loot down, where Shade's contract would take and secure them. My headcanon is that it's Alex down there, because Who else would be the Payday guy's punching bag? The problem is, you can only pick one of the sewer grates that get highlighted around the map. And for each playthrough, the amount of sewer grates that do get marked are only 2 random ones. However, no matter which sewer grate spawn I get, I will always go for the one in front of the warehouse. Since when I do stealth, I always use a certain asset. Again, I'll get to the assets later, as they're a huge part of the heist that I think separates it from every other heist in the game. As of writing this. Hi, Koo from editing again. I can confirm that Delivery Charge's assets are still the only interesting assets in the game, apart from the revamp heist, which I'm not going to talk about for very obvious reasons. Meanwhile, Shopping Spree's assets, while also purchasable, kinda suck. And especially this one in particular. Why the fuck aren't you default? Okay, back to you. I think that's it for what I can cover for stealth, so yeah, let's move to loud. Can you tell I don't know how to transition to the To quote my party powder video, loud is what it has always been. The alarm goes off, the security systems go on, and it says, fuck you. Get drilling it. But then Delivery Charge says, fuck that, just do that. My least favorite part about my party powder video is one of me glazing the escape variations, as I must admit, yeah, I was per padding. I'm sorry. However, now that it's canonically been 7 months since I wrote that video up to when I'm writing this part of the script, I can say definitively that Delivery Charge fucking dunks on party powder. Delivery Charge has, get this, 4 different escape variations. 5 if you count a certain asset. First is a helicopter escape on the roof. Go up there and signal Bile to fly in. Then throw your bags into the helicopter once he's in place. Second is the cage escape on the side of the warehouse. Bao will drop in 3 cage bags that you will have to build yourself. Once that's done, just secure your bags in the cage, which the cops can't do anything about. Are they stupid? I'm not complaining, there's a reason why Go Bank is a lot of people's least favorite heist. Third is the second cage escape in front of the building. The same thing, but it's in front of the warehouse, opening you up to not 1, not 2, but 4 sniper spawns scoping into your cranium. And lastly, rarest of all, the waterfront container escape. Once you've bagged up a single bag, Shade will call in a favor from a crane that's magnetizing a container to pick you and your loot up. This one's my favorite for various reasons, mostly because I don't have to deal with these fuckers. Unlike Party Powder, Delivery Charge actually has a pretty normal SWAT spawn rate, as heavier units spawn way later into the heist unless you're using a certain asset. This, I feel, is a better way of handling spawn rates, as it gives you more time to prepare, as bots can't drop supplies during final charges. Speaking of which, if you know me personally, you'd know I'm someone who doesn't really like the final charge system, as I feel they're pretty poorly implemented and poorly placed, like the First World Bank's final charge. And unfortunately, the final charge on this heist is no different, activating when you have about 50% loot secured. This is a problem with most modern Payday 3 heists, as the game would just randomly drop in an endless assault wave to make the heist harder. But in reality, it makes it more tedious to play through, especially if you play solo like I do. If I were to give you a tip, I'd say if you're playing solo, stash your bags behind the vault table until you're ready to secure them, as securing the loot bags right away could trigger a final charge before you're even ready to handle them. Another tip, snipers on this heist are one huge hassle to deal with, as they spawn in scattered locations, being the roof of the opposite warehouse, the roof of the adjacent warehouse, where they can reach you inside the building by the way, and on the warehouse itself. Well, just kill the snipers. Well, apparently that's not an option, since after Party Powder, the cop spawn cap has increased, leaving you completely swarmed when you're out in the open. So while you're trying to prioritize other units, snipers can get you, and while you're trying to prioritize the snipers, a random ass cloaker comes out of nowhere and beats you the fuck up. So unless you're doing Road Rage Redux, stay the fuck inside. Oh, right. Road Rage Redux, huh? Payday 3 causes a lot of disagreement within the community, whether it be between players from the game, players from past games, or people outside of the community. However, I think one of the things we all can agree on is that the asset system is extremely flawed. Unlike Payday 2, where you can buy heist assets and even use those assets to plan on specific things to happen depending on which heist you're doing, Payday 3 system makes you play heists that are in a similar vein to a specific roster of heists, only to get one random asset as a reward for completing the heist. Yeah, RNG-based asset drops aren't really a fun idea, this system absolutely sucks as it limits what you can and can't do while planning a heist. And some heist assets, at least for solo players like me, are a massive convenience. Listen, as much as I love Diamond District, you can't force me to grind it just to get one specific asset for Dirty Ice. So what does delivery charge do? Holy shit, Bible ass! Unlike every other heist up until this one, I'm not talking about you, you don't exist yet. Delivery charge allows you to buy heist-specific assets, similar to how you could in Payday 2's pre-planning. However, unlike every other heist in Payday 3, delivery charge's assets change how you play the heist, as every asset lets you play the heist in different ways. Wow, what the fuck did I just write there? So, without further ado, let's get into those assets, shall we? In Road Rage Redux, Shade has called in a favor to get a marked van to park at the waterfront of the warehouse. Inside the van lies a remote steering device, the same one from Road Rage. Duh. Then, you'll be tasked with finding the last transport that hasn't been emptied yet, and next moving the truck onto a semi-truck that the Payday gang had hired to move the transport back to the safe house. This option seems to be the canonical option the Payday gang went with, as seen in the teaser trailer for the heist. In Boat Arrival, this one is the best asset for stealth, as it spawns you at the waterfront docks behind the warehouse. You can then grab a keycard from the guard that spawns back here and gain immediate access to the basement. The boat at the docks can also be used as a secure location and an escape location that won't leave during Loud. In Refrigerated Loot, this asset spawns 2 white container crates in place of the armored transport trucks that have already been emptied. Inside the crates are degradable devices like the ones in 99 boxes, except it's not 99 boxes, so it's actually good.
Jesus Christ, yeah, this video's old.
You won't have to stand in circles to open the locks inside the container crates for this. Instead, you will need to find some fingerprints from some coffee mugs in the security office. Before you can secure the loot, however, you'll need to find a tank of coolant hidden inside one of the wooden crates, which you'll have to bring to a semi-truck that has a cooling container outside the warehouse. The semi-truck can also be used as a secure location. In max capacity, this asset takes place when the gang arrives at the warehouse a little later into the night, so that all the transport would already be emptied and moved into the counting cages or the vault. This eliminates the guessing game, but adds a little more risk as drones will start spawning during stealth. I mean, if you could call it a challenge. Back then, you could just shoot the problematic drones down, and nowadays, after the Turbot Station remake, you can even pick them up. However, during Loud is when shit starts hitting the fan. Since loot is so easy to get, the cops are going to get more aggressive. Heavier units will start spawning a lot earlier, so you better be prepared to, Again, these assets are a huge game changer, as it of course changes the way you play the heist, opening up new ways to tackle. Why do I keep writing shit? That's like the same fucking thing. Coupled with the fact that the heist has the best RNG I've ever seen as of writing this genuinely makes Delivery Charge one of my favorite heists of 2025. This video was a long time coming, huh? So, how do I feel about the Delivery Charge Heist DLC? As I said, as of 2025, I think it's my favorite heist in the game, and I feel that it was worth every fucking penny. The heist genuinely has the best RNG the game has to offer, it plays phenomenally during stealth and loud, the soundtrack kicks ass, and it lays the foundation on how assets can be bought in later heists. A later heist. And hell, a bit into the future here, but we get to see that in action with the later revamp heist. However, my main gripe for this heist is the replayability factor, as the objectives are extremely mundane, and that still hasn't changed with the release of Shopping Spree. I also do agree that a heist that leaned more towards social stuff would be nice, as we haven't had much of that this year, or last year. Fuck, this video is late, fuck! But I can also see how that wouldn't really work realistically. You're raiding a Gensec warehouse that's highly secure and not open to outsiders. Anyway, do I think Delivery Charge is worth your money? That's for you to decide. As I've said in the Party Powder video, reviews are subjective. I can't say what you can or can't like. These videos are only meant for me to share my opinion for people in the community to see. I repeat, do not take my words as gospel. But with that out of the way, thank you for watching. I love you all.